right. Hello, everyone. This is Kati Gostaspi, and I want to welcome you to the Kati G podcast. The mission of my podcast is for us to realize that we have access to our own power to really gracefully navigate and glide through changes and manage transitions in our lives, whether that be changing practice areas, careers, buying or selling a business, retiring or reinventing yourself. Maybe you're going back to school, or maybe you're dealing with a health issue or a diagnosis. So we are great, and we can rise above any of these pivot points in our lives, and we can be even greater than any change, more importantly. And the real question then becomes, how do we bring this greatness to the world through a brand? So I do this podcast for two reasons. One, I care about humanity deeply, and I want all of us to see how great we really are, to be happier in our lives. And the second reason I do this podcast is because, look, I'm just like you. I struggle with my own feelings of being less than, just like everyone else. And some days are good and some days could be better. And my friends and my content and those I count on really help. So this time, the podcast is about the healing capacity that we have for change. And I have got a treat for you guys. So I am truly honored to welcome as my guest Dr. Suhas. And Dr. Suhas, many of you may have already heard of him. He is a classically trained Ayurvedic physician and an MD. And he is a medical astrologer and a Vedic counselor and an educator. And Dr. Suhas and his wife founded the Ayurvedic Healing Clinic in Santa Cruz, which I have been to, and I encourage you to look it up and check it out because it's remarkable. And at the end, we'll give you how to access that information. And Dr. Suhas has shared the stage with many of the greats, including Dr. Deepak Chopra, who he calls a close friend. So welcome, Dr. Suhas. I'm honored, and thank you for making time for me and my listeners. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Kathy. And very happy to be with you, and very proud of the work that you do and how you lead your life, how you inspire yourself, stay motivated, and inspire many others. So
Well, thank
it's
you.
wonderful. It's
Thank
so
you.
wonderful.
Nice. Thank you. I really appreciate that comment. So some of you may be wondering how Dr. Suhas would know me to say this about me. Dr. Suhas and I met, I want to say a year ago, July, when I had a client who's a lawyer. He would not stop, right, Dr. Suhas? He kept saying, you have to go become a client, a patient of Dr. Suhas. And I knew some about Ayurvedic medicine, and I had researched it some, but I didn't feel a pull. But my client, who is a middle-aged white lawyer, would not let it go. And so I said, okay. And so I became a patient of Dr. Suhas, and I was profoundly impacted by the work they do at the center, and just his presence and how he got to where he is, and the education that he provides for people, which is priceless. So I want to thank him for being on the show. And if you're wondering how I know him, that is how I know him. So I have been a patient during this time, and I have benefited gratefully. And I wanted to bring that benefit to everyone. So Dr. Suhas, if you don't mind, could you start like we always do with all of my guests and tell us about your story, where you come from, how you got to where you are, and we'll unpack it as we go, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I think the theme that you have selected, which is a wise theme, is about healing. And the word healing is the root word comes from whole and holy. Okay. So in order to really heal, you have to be whole with your mind, body, spirit, union, and conjunction. And you have to become holy. So that is a very difficult situation to understand in an analytical world or standard medicine. To become holy, to find your sacred self, to find your spiritual self in order to heal. And becoming holy is simply meaning dispelling the fear of the bondages of death, of the shackles that we put on ourselves, to free ourselves in every possible way. And that's the only way to heal. And I think in medicine, we are painfully realizing that the human potential is opening up, not creating multiple blocks and creating or inciting fear in them, which depresses their immune system, doesn't allow them to really feel good about themselves, and ride the battle with any disease or discomfort what they are having. So it should be uplifting medicine. And my journey in medicine is all about how you can become a better healer by your ability to invoke the healing potential in the person, in the patient, who is sitting in front of you. You cannot do a whole lot for them. They have to do it themselves. Your only job is to get that thing in motion, reset that, touch the chord, and inspire them. And slowly they will lead the transformative journey, which is including not only getting rid of the disease, but also becoming a better human being at the same time.
So that's fascinating. You just said so much there that we can unpack. So, really, if you're talking about invoking the healing in the patient, if I'm a lawyer and I'm sitting here listening to this and I'm thinking to myself, okay, that all sounds great, but I'm a lawyer. I'm not a quote unquote doctor. I'm not a healer. What do you say to those people that are really looking at this from a traditional medicine equals healing, and the rest of us are just out there in the world, not subject to it and not part of that healing process in the universe?
And I think the perfect answer to that is to be mindful who you are, what you're doing, how you're doing, and how it is leading or contributing to your current disease or imbalance. I see hundreds of patients on a daily basis who have cascade of disease, autoimmune condition. This I practice in Silicon Valley, for God's sake, and everyone is super busy, disconnected from their body. Workaholics working 15, 16 hours a day is a norm, and these busy schedules ride over their physiology. They are sleeping late, they're waking up late, they're thinking, planning about work all day long. They are not eating at the right time, they don't have time for exercise, they don't have time for good night's sleep sometimes. Their relationships are falling apart, their physical health is falling apart, and they don't know that how they live their life is exactly the kind of diseases that they are creating. So my first step is to have them stop and look at themselves, what they're doing, because these super busy schedules is what is dictating their physiology and creating diseases. And being a natural doctor, people try to find natural ways of getting rid of unnatural living, and you cannot do that. If you are
Mm,
leading an unnatural life, then you're creating a complexity or a cascade of imbalance which only you can correct. No one else can correct it. And if a doctor doesn't have time to really help you guide and understand and give you right pointers, because currently about 70-80% of the diseases that we have is all lifestyle diseases, is how you style your life is the kind of diseases or health that you're going to create.
so, is that what you mean when you say unnatural life? In case somebody has
Unnatural life.
a question.
Unnatural life, because I think the life has gotten so busy. Everyone is super busy. Internet, emails, text messaging, social media increase the speed of life tremendously. Either people are online or offline. They're disconnected from your basic bodily rhythms:
Oh,
thirst, hunger, sleep, elimination. It's not you, but your schedule. And what happens is our body, from an Ayurvedic perspective, from a modern medicine perspective, and I wrote a book on this topic called as Change Your Schedule, Change Your Life. On
fantastic.
this
Read it. I recommend it to all of you listening. Go ahead.
And this topic of chronobiology, chrono means time, how the time affects your biology. The chronobiology, it's hardwired. It's very inflexible biology. And yet our social and economic systems constantly provoke it. And the current epidemic that I see in my practice, obesity, metabolic syndrome, insomnia, insulin resistant depression, can all be linked to what I call it as circadian rhythms.
Got it.
So it's not what you eat, when you eat, it's not how much sleep you get, but when you sleep, it's not how much exercise you do, but when you exercise. So diet, sleep, and exercise, these are the pillars of health. And I think if we have our full-time job is to take care of our body and finding time to eat good, clean foods made by nature and made in nature, eating the right amount at the right time, exercising, keeping all the moving parts moving, and finding good, smart way of relaxing the body through sleep, through meditation, all of that. And I think this is the main challenge that I see in my clinical practice, where the modern lifestyle is disrupting, whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a doctor, whether you are an IT professional. I think time poverty, and Katie, you would relate to that to a certain extent, that people are becoming cash rich but time poor.
Absolutely. And so, what is the point of that? Dr. Suhas was with me through my breast cancer journey. And, we all know this, but until we have that proverbial 2x4 hit us on the head, we don't really stop and think all the money people are striving to make and all the successes and climbing up the corporate ladder mean nothing when you're faced with a diagnosis like that, because none of that takes care of the diagnosis. And so, the reason I so wanted you on this podcast and want people to really stop whatever you're doing and listen to what Dr. Suhas is saying is because I would rather the 2x4 not hit you in the head for you to have that wake up call. And I was already living into that wake up, right? And it still hit me
Yeah.
in the head. Now, look, we can talk about why and who and all of that. Everyone has a life journey that's connected to one another, but their particular purpose in life. And so we have to go through the experiences that we call in. But I do believe we can be wise, like Dr. Suhas says, and have self awareness around these things. And what do you say to people, Dr. Suhas, that say, I don't have time to make time and read your book and disconnect from life and stop and look at the unnatural life rhythms and have self awareness? I'm sure everyone that comes and see you from Silicon Valley and beyond says that to you. And what is that first step you recommend for people?
Well, if you don't have time to do anything else, you will find time to get sick.
Beautifully said.
And that is something that comes from nowhere. And we think that it came from nowhere, but it doesn't come from nowhere. It has been accumulating in your system over a period of time until it finds a favorable window for it to manifest. Sometimes it's a bit too late. Okay, it's a bit too late. I just spoke with someone this morning, and they said that 1 week ago I was fine, and now I have this big tumor, and they say that it spread everywhere. That what did I do in last 1 week? And I said, it didn't happen in last 1 week. So whether you're connected enough with your body to really see whether how the imbalance is getting accumulated, and that disconnection with your body is the first step. So I often tell people, when you start meditating on a regular basis, whether it's 10-minute morning and evening, 20 minutes morning and evening, that is the first step to withdraw your awareness inside. You're disconnected from your outside world. While when you're meditating, you're neither sleeping nor dreaming nor awake. You're into a fourth state of consciousness, which helps you tap into your inner wisdom of the body. It tells you, it gives you the signals, it tells you what is the right thing to do. And it comes from inside out, not from outside in by reading a book or going to a person who tells you to do what. It is something that innate knowingness, that wisdom of your own self is something. So,
Mm.
jokingly, I tell my patients, for a fast acting relief, try slowing down.
It's very
And
true. Yeah,
it's very true, because that's something important. And we think that it's a mad race, and especially lawyers that you talk to, it's all about billable hour, isn't it? Time in relation to money. And
absolutely.
when our hours and 24 hours are financially quantified, then we are wasting, saving, or using. Time relates to profit. And that's what we are seeing in the rich countries. When the economies grow, income rises, and everybody's time becomes more and more valuable and scarcer. Time is money. So you become stingy with time to maximize money, and at the cost of innate happiness. And many times you get into a mode, if you're not busy enough, you're not happy.
So,
If you're yeah, means that leisure time is equated to as if you're wasting time, or you're not good enough to attract a lot of work. And if you're super busy schedule, and you were talking about my own journey. So when I wrote my first book, The Hot Belly Diet, being a classically trained Ayurvedic physician born and raised in India, um, I studied Ayurveda. I became a doctor, started a practice in India. You have a super busy practice, hundreds of people that you see, and you help them. It's quick moving things. And then I was invited by His Holiness Maharshi Mahesh Yogi, who was the founder of Transcendental Meditation, to say I need young couples who are Ayurvedic doctors to come and travel around the globe talking about yoga, Ayurveda, meditation, and the real essence of Vedic medicine. So I thought maybe I should do that for a few years. And me and my wife, we came to Holland, and with Maharshiji, we started traveling around the globe and really decoding my own upbringing, the culture where I was coming from, the way I was born and brought up into, all the goodness in Vedic medicine, in Ayurveda, in yoga, in meditation. I started decoding and understanding it and really respecting it. Because when you're living in a country like yourself, okay, with we live into this colonial mentality of knowing what is ours is not good enough, and what West is talking, what they are doing is something much more precious, much more objective. And we lose the touch of the subjective wisdom that we have had for ages together. We're talking about Vedic culture, we're talking about Persian cultures, and these were the most affluent cultures in the world. Okay. And so dusting that off and finding my true self, because life is all about reinventing yourself. So I started my journey as an Ayurvedic doctor. I started looking at my profession differently. I started using my knowledge and helping people completely differently. I became a medical astrologer. I started adding that component of astrology, which I knew, which I had studied in my medical practice, looking at a person in their whole life on a on a timeline. So from 0 to 50, this is who you have become. And what were the first 10 years of your life? What happened from 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50? Those experiences shape your thinking, your mentality. So through an astrology chart, you understand people really well. You understand their experiences, you guide them. You not only give them tools to really blame others, what happened or who did what to you, but it's all about positive psychology now. It's all about forget about who did what. What can you do for yourself? How can you change? How can you transform? How can you relearn and unlearn some of the things? So when I started doing that using astrology, I started doing sessions. I started training doctors. I started using a Vedic counseling component about really counseling the psycho-emotional health. Because at the end of the day, it boils down to whether you really feel good about it, whether your needs are met, whether you're receiving the right kind of affection and attention and appreciation in your life, and you feel nurtured, or you feel left out or victim or
And
unhappy.
that is very, very true. I think in most of the clients that I see, and most professionals that I know, and including who I was before all of this, before my breast cancer diagnosis, the concept of nurturing is not a notion that we use in the Western world, because it seems like nurturing was for when we were born and then we left it behind, and we're not worthy of being someone who is worth being loved and nourished and taken care of. And so we leave all that behind for a pace, like you've been saying this entire time, that is unfathomable and only getting worse with the advent of technology's growth. And so then we lose our sense of who we are and the self care that's important. And time becomes our biggest enemy, and money frankly means nothing at the end of the day, because none of these things come together to form a whole picture of who we are. Now, for those of you listening to this and rolling your eyes and saying this is a lot of woo woo, I don't believe in charts and astrology, that's fine. I respect that, and I know Dr. Suhas respects that. Everyone's entitled to their opinion. However, stop and think at the end of the day, are you happy with the pace of your life and where you're going and what's going on at work, and how much time you have for yourself and how much time you have for your family or friends? Or would you like something different in your life? And if you listen to Dr. Suhas's story, and you know my story by now if you're listening to this podcast, the changes and the shifts we went through wasn't necessarily because we weren't comfortable where we were. We just chose to grow and realize that we could evolve. And that evolution does not always mean you're comfortable doing it, right, Dr. Suhas? I mean, when you share your story, it seems like, oh, well, that sounds easy. You just do this and then you travel around the globe, and isn't that exciting? But it comes with pivot points and you have to stretch yourself, right?
Well, you have to watch yourself from a distance. You have to learn and know about yourself. You have to introduce yourself to yourself. And if you don't know yourself, then you are never going to be a changed, transformed person and not even become capable of helping others. Because I use a term called as emotional intelligence. And I see so many literate people who are not emotionally intelligent. If you're not able to tap into why you're thinking, why you're saying certain things, why you're doing certain things, why your decision making is tinted by something, all that early conditions of upbringing, parenting, conditions of living, it creates an emotional set point from where you react to everything in life. So, no matter how literate you are, how successful you are, you could be emotionally unintelligent at times. And the diseases are a byproduct of those emotional reactivity. Whether you find comfortable, pleasure, happy, content, satisfied, cheerful disposition, or you are into a state where you are constantly into a fight flight mode, where you are feeling unhappy and you are constantly blaming everyone else around you and making yourself much more unhappy. You feel depressed, you feel anxious, you feel angry, you feel impatient. And I see these traits are happening because the way you live your life, slowly you are becoming that way. And every decision that you take and you make is coming from that discussion that you're having with yourself. When you feel that you're running out of time, you're literally going to run out of time one day. And
That's
this and this is challenging and it's not pleasant to hear at times, but your immune system and nervous system is one and the same thing. They're eavesdropping on everything. Every cell in your body is listening to that conversation. When you say you feel anxious, you feel angry, you feel bitter, you feel confused, you feel hurt, you feel miserable, you feel skeptical, terrified, tired, unhappy. It's not that you're feeling, every cell is listening to this. Compared to when you say that you feel awesome, you feel bright, you feel delightful, you feel enthusiastic, you feel invigorated, hopeful, upbeat, warm, optimistic. These are all things. These get translated into molecules and emotions. So your relationship with yourself is the fundamental and the most important relationship that you would ever have.
that is such a, I would almost like to just stop and pause and have people really think about that, because we never stop to really consider that relationship with ourselves, because we're either pleasing others to get by based on our childhood wounds, or trying to get ahead in life, right? The boss, the client, whatever. And we put ourselves dead last because we never even stop to look at that relationship. So if someone's listening to this and going, yes, I have the depression, anxiety, anxiousness, impatience, what would be the first step you would recommend for them to do outside of meditation in order for them to, as you said, introduce themselves to themselves?
I think anybody can do and everybody should do is to look at their plate and what they put in their mouth every day. If it is filled with prana, life, vitality, vital force, mana, chi, whatever you call it, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, whatever you put in your mouth is clean, organic, healthy, natural, in the right amount. It's not stale, leftover, putrid, packaged, processed, artificial, natural. That's what anybody can start. If all the purpose is for you to earn money and become much more resourceful, then the most important person is yourself. If you can't afford to eat clean foods and put clean foods in your body, then it doesn't matter how much money you make. So that's
Very.
number one. You clean up your diet. What you eat is exactly what you feel. Number two is improve your digest. It's not what you eat, but what you digest. So make sure that you are eating the right foods at the right time in the right amount and you're digesting well. And you're cleaning up any toxins, impurities, physical toxins, and psycho-emotional toxins, because toxicity, we're talking about, going back to your case, Katie,
Yes.
is there are three types of toxins that I see. One is carcinogenic, other is mutagenic, and the third is reprotoxic. Carcinogenic is creating cancers. Mutagenic is it leads to gene mutations, so it starts upregulating certain genes which create diseases. And
What's the third one?
rep, reprotoxic. Reprotoxic is it is hormonal in nature. It starts creating artificial synthetic hormones that you consume from nowhere and start affecting the areas in your body. So we talk about plastic as a xenoestrogen. So it contains estrogen like molecule. And when you're taking synthetic chemicals, when you're drinking milk, which is not organic, where the cows are drinking bovine growth hormones and it all gets condensed into their meat and everything, when the chickens are given certain antibiotics and that kind of meat you are eating, you are ingesting that. And you may not want to go and eat impure food, but you're not even knowing that that whole food chain is all impure and it's getting condensed, and you are slowly having a toxic accumulation in your own body. Pesticides, colors, additives, fertilizers, uh, um, so many things, impure water, air that you're consuming. It goes stacked up into your cells, tissues. We call it as endogenous and exogenous toxins, which are fat soluble and water soluble. So one of the things that we did with you was a cleanse. Is that right? A
Yes.
deep tissue cleanse, a deep tissue cleanse,
Oh
because detoxification is the only way to rejuvenate thereafter.
Yes, yes, and absolutely. And I can't stress that enough. I think most people hear detox and they think, oh, I should drink lots of juices and stop drinking alcohol and sleep more, maybe the sleep component. But truly, for me, for years, I knew my body was highly toxic. And I'm a clean eater. Every time someone hears that I had cancer who knows who I am, they're like, oh my gosh, if you got cancer, what about the rest of us, right? But the toxicity builds up for a variety of different factors based on your body chemistry. For me, the sluggish kidney, liver, and spleen energy and whatnot, and the stressors in my life. And so I went for a whole week of what's called panchakarma. To those of you listening, if you get on Dr. Suhas's website, you'll see the link, and we'll provide that for you in the show notes and at the end of here verbally. And I spent a whole week really detoxing emotionally, physically, mentally, all of that. And it feels good. It's like a release. But here's the thing, don't wait until that day is needed. Prioritize yourself and introduce yourself to yourself, as Dr. Suhas says, because that is critically important. Now, Dr. Suhas, I want to go back. Maybe we should have started with this, but it goes where it's supposed to go. Before we go into part two, can you explain for folks that are so new to Ayurveda, very briefly, what does Ayurveda actually mean, and what is it how is it different when they come see you or an Ayurvedic practitioner?
Well, Ayurveda is one of the most ancient and most comprehensive system of healthcare that is known to humanity. The Sanskrit word Ayurveda is made up of two different words, Ayu and Veda. Ayu means life, and Veda means knowledge. It's the science of life. It's everything that entails how you think, how you live, the choices that you make, how to live in accordance with the laws of nature. It's a natural healing system. So it is understanding that how you adopt to a healthy routine on a daily basis. What is the best time to wake up? What is the best time to go to sleep? What is the right kind of food that is suitable to your mind body type? What is the important routine that you should do with a change of season? So when you go from winter to spring, spring to summer, summer to fall, there's the body is changing gears. And not only those gears, even in life, like in yourself, I often tell all the women that 45 to 55 is the most important decade in a woman's life, because you're moving from a pitta phase of life to a vata phase of life. So there's a hormonal shift. Your moon cycle is settling down and your sun cycle is coming up thereafter. So transitions is when we are caught up and create diseases. Every change of season, people get sick. Every change of season in their life, women, even men and women, during those transition phases, if they're not aware, if they're not doing the right kind of things. So it's an age old concept that every change of season, try to find a week where you can do some slowing down, gentle cleansing, juicing, castor oil cleansing, things like that that we talk. And there are 4 dates in the calendar that I often tell my patients: spring equinox and fall equinox, summer solstice and winter solstice. So those are 4 dates in the calendar. So a few days before that, few days after that, you slow down, you clean up your diet, you do a liver gallbladder cleanse, you drink some juices, you drink some herbal teas, you maybe get a massage, get some enemas, cleanse and purge the body. And this is the right time because the doshas are on the move. So when the body is changing gears, it can easily detoxify and cleanse. So panchakarma detoxification is important. Timing of that, doing when the nature is doing, is very important. And the same with dawn and dusk every day. Those are the transition time. What you do at dawn, what you do at dusk will define how well you're going to sleep and how productive your day is going to be. So those are the two junction points. So you should start your day in a mindful manner and you should end your day in a mindful manner. In
Wow.
the morning, you should, in the morning, when the sun is rising, the night is ending, you should do your self-care ritual. Okay, whether you do oil pulling, whether you do self massage, whether you do your meditation, your pranayama, your breathing exercise, you do something for yourself to really reset the tone for the whole day. And when you have led a complete successful day, you come back and have an evening meditation for yourself, maybe uh, journaling, maybe expressing gratitude about everything that happened, and prepare yourself for a good night's sleep. So those are junction points. And what you do in those junction points is going to define who you are going to be person and what you're going to attract in life.
So if you're listening to this and you do nothing else, at least take note of the dawn and dusk for yourself and how you're starting your day and how you're ending your day. And if you're thinking, I don't have time for this, it's exactly what Dr. Suhas said. If you don't have time, then you're going to make time for something disease in your body because you're not choosing to prioritize yourself. But it's easy enough. Remember dusk and dawn, if nothing else. I like to start people
No, the
slowly.
birds know it, the birds know it, the animals know it. They leave the nest at that time, they come back at that time. And it's only us that we think that we are intelligent, but we are disconnected from
Yes.
Mother Nature's intelligence.
Absolutely. So perhaps the best thing you can do if you can do nothing else is go out into nature more. If you're listening to this and thinking this all sounds great, I can even get on board with the stuff that seems very spiritual and above my head. Uh, but do start somewhere and start in nature if nothing else. That's my recommendation. So Dr. Suha, switching gears to step 2, because I think I could talk to you forever and our listeners could glean information for hours, but we don't want to disrespect your time and the listeners' time as well. What is something that's a challenge on your plate? What's going on in your life that we could learn from that you're going through?
I think the same. The reason why I felt that I was getting too busy and too full with my practice, and I didn't have enough time for my own personal sadhana, as we call it. So I've consciously modified certain things that I do, and I'm choosing things very, very wisely. And I decided that yes, it is important to talk to individuals and people and clients in my practice, but more importantly, is the essence that I'm learning and getting from these people and from my own practice and learning should be transcribed, should be created as a template for a different type of medicine that can be practiced. And I'm devoting more and more time with that insightful awareness that a medical session or a consultation can be a healing transformative session for yourself and for them at the same time, for the healer and the healy at the same time. So, uh, as you talk about, you have to be a good listener. You have to watch everything. You have to pay attention to what they are saying, what they are doing, the phrases that they're using. You have to dive in between the words, in between the sounds, what they're saying, how they're saying. And then you have to learn and let it be as a sounding board towards you. What are your own fears? What are your own inhibitions? What are your own challenges that you see in the client that you see? Sometimes you end up in attracting clients like yourself, and
Yeah.
then you while you're fixing them, you're fixing yourself. And I think that is a two-way process. So that two-way process is what I'm learning about myself. Is something which I'm realizing, and I'm probably um, thinking more and more deeply to really not come up with an intellectual component of writing a book or talking about it, but probably helping it to uh, really create an art of living, how you
Mm.
should live, and create an organic process where everything that you do is infused with that. It has to be fun, no doubt, but more importantly, your self work is important, your exercise is important, conscious eating is important, your daily spiritual practice is important. What you do to make a difference in someone else's life with a selfless service is important. Visualization, having goals for yourself is important. Meditation, inner work, and maintaining a state of well-being with a dimension where you have to play different role. You have to be a good father, you have to be a good husband, you have to be a good son, you have to be a good provider, you have to be a good colleague. All of these roles, you can't compartmentalize life. It all has to happen at the same time. And while you do it at the same time, you take good care of yourself and you take care of everyone else around. And you inspire each other on this healing journey. So as a family, as a relationship, you start making choices that are really, really good for everyone involved. And I think that is what constitute a healthy body, healthy mind, healthy family, maybe healthy society and healthy nations ultimately.
So, if I understood you correctly, the challenge was how are you going to prioritize the practice in your life as you got more and more busy with this practice? And then the solution was in everything you just said, that you are learning just as much from your clientele as you're teaching them, and then harmonizing all that together. And that's how
Uh,
you made that time work.
Yeah, there's one more layer to that where it's not objectivizing what the goal or the outcome of that session is. It's not fixing them. It's subjectively learning and relating to them and helping them slowly dissolve those blocks as they are going themselves to the next level. And you yourself, you're not thinking with your own ego that you can fix them and you can get rid of the disease for them. And to a certain degree, you can just be a little guide on the side.
Yes. So it's if you're listening to this and you're say a lawyer and not a doctor, for instance, it really what I hear Dr. Suhas saying is it's more about not having a plan for the outcome necessarily, but going along and not assuming that you're there to fix everything for people, but you're part of the journey and you might be the counselor, as we call lawyers, or whatever your title is in the process, and you're hired as an expert to do a certain task. But remember, it's a symbiotic process where we're
It is.
co-creating the end result with one another. And it's better to be in that co-creative mindset of you're just going to receive the data and give it out to people and let's see where it goes. And having faith though is important, right, Dr. Suhas, that whatever it amounts to is the right answer, because you're going to trust your expert.
Without trust and faith, nothing is possible. So especially in a healer healer relationship, in a client doctor relationship, or a client and a lawyer relationship, if you don't trust and have faith in each other's ability, the healing is not possible, success is not possible. It's all helping each other and inspiring each other. I think that is the key. And one of the things that I have noticed is we are all human beings at the end of the day, no matter which country we come from, no matter what we do, where we live, whatever accent and whatever lingo language is, it's all basic human instinct as such. So cleaning up the cultural blockages and the lingo that we have learned to think in certain ways, and slowly transforming and changing yourself. So that journey of slow change, of you allowing yourself to be baked, to cook, to transform is so important. And it's a daily journey to transform and to evolve. It's not that you do it something, but on a daily basis, you learn, you grow, you evolve through that. And once you slowly become transformed, only transform people. If you are transformed, then only you become capable of helping others.
Well said. So, for all of you listening, I'd like to end on that note because that was so beautifully said. It's a daily journey, truly, to transform. And why would you want to transform if you're sitting there thinking, I don't have time for this, I'm good the way I am? That's perfectly fine. But as Dr. Suhas said, you choose to transform because transformed people can transform. And if you want to be better at what you're doing and succeed and excel, whatever that means for you, it is a transformative journey, and it's a daily event that takes place. So even if you think you're not transforming daily, it really is. Let's just make it conscious, which is the whole point of this conversation, in my opinion. So
And
Dr.
it's happening anyway. It's happening anyway, since from your birth till your death. Okay, every breath you take is changing you constantly, is aging you. So it's your choice whether you're transforming it towards goodness, towards optimism, hope, joy, or you're transforming it to decay, to disintegration, to degeneration, to hasten the aging process. And you're letting your body feel the brunt of it, or you're evolving into higher states of awareness and consciousness. That positive switch, whenever it gets turned on, so be it. That's the way to lead an open-eyed life, moving away from a contracted state of awareness to an expanded state of awareness.
And it's all a choice you make, like you said. Well said. Dr.
Absolutely.
Suhas, if people want to find you and learn more about your practice, or perhaps book a session to come see you, because you see me through Zoom. If you're going to go do Panchakarma, which you can learn more about on Dr. Suhas's website, that is in person, of course, and you have to take time off. But otherwise, Dr. Suhas works remotely, and so does the rest of his team. Where can they find you, Dr. Suhas? What's the easiest way?
Yeah, you can go to my website, www.ayurvedichealing.net, which is spelled as AYURVEDIC, healing, HEALING.net, or you can call our office number in Santa Cruz, which is 831-462-3776. 831-462-3776. Even if you click Dr. Suhas on internet, you should be finding hundreds of websites with my information, with my contact information. So I welcome you. And as I said, that I don't promise anything right away, but we'll sit, chat, discuss, look at a variety of different things, and give you all the variety of different options to become a much better human being.
Fantastic. Can't say it any better. If you're curious, at least please do yourself a favor. Share this podcast with others. Let them learn what they need to learn through Dr. Suhas's brilliance. And get online and research and learn more. He's got wonderful books as well, the ones that he mentioned that I've read. And there's lots of people out there that have benefited. And so why not you? So you can become that transformed person that goes out there and transforms others. Dr. Suhas, thank you so much for your time. I'm honored. I know how busy you are. What a blessing it is. May you go forward and continue to be a blessing to so many of us. And thank you. Thank you very much. And
Thank
until
you,
next
Kathy.
time, my listeners, go out there and be that healing change that you want to be, and transform yourself and others in your own way at your own time. And if you need us, you know where to find us. Until next time, Keti G out.